Hello, everyone, and welcome back to yet another lecture on economic analysis for business decisions. So today we'll be conducting the lecture on Unit 4, Part 3, and we'll be understanding price determination under monopolistic competition. In the last videos, we've understood about perfect competition and monopoly, and I've also explained to you what is the meaning of monopolistic competition. So you should have a basic knowledge that what is the meaning of monopolistic competition and what are the characteristics of monopolistic competition, so as to understand the price determination under short run and long run. Okay, so I want you all to keep a paper and pen ready, because you'll have to sometimes draw graphs along with me, so that you understand how the graphs are formed and how it is interpreted, right? So let's begin. I'll be sharing my screen with you all now. Yes. So let's understand what is price determination under monopolistic competition. As you all know that in a monopolistic competition, like in a monopolistic competitive market, since the product is differentiated between firms, that this is the realistic market that exists, that we all live in. So each firm faces a downward sloping demand curve. The demand curve is highly elastic, although not flat. Why? Because there is close competition. So each firm is a price maker and is in a position to determine price for its own product. So that average revenue curve is shallow, indicating highly elastic demand. So generally, the less differentiated the product is from its competitors, the more elastic is this curve, and vice versa. So the elasticity of demand for the product of a firm under monopolistic competition depends upon two things. Number one, as you can see on the screen, how far is the product of a firm differentiated from the product of other firms, and how deep rooted is the preference of the buyers for the product concerned. And number two, total number of firms in the market. Larger the firms, larger the substitutes, right? This is the realistic market that exists, that we live in. Perfect competition is unrealistic condition, right? That we just assume. But monopolistic competition is the competition in which it exists, right? Now, so as monopolistic competition has elements of both monopoly and perfect competition, as you can see on the screen. The AR curve or demand curve faced by a monopolistic competition firm is neither as steep as is under a monopoly, as monopolistic competitive firms products does not have very close substitutes, and nor it is parallel to the x-axis as it is under perfect competition, as product of all the firms are not identical and buyers can have preferences. So it has like elements of both. So it is not possible for the monopolistic competitive firm to sell an infinite amount of product at the ruling price, like a monopoly does. So let's understand how is the equilibrium attained in the short run in a monopolistic competition. The conditions for short-run equilibrium for monopolistic competition is that marginal revenue curve should be equal to marginal cost curve, that is MR is equal to MC. The marginal cost curve should cut the marginal revenue curve from below, and marginal cost should have positive slope. So these are the two conditions. When these conditions happen, then you say that a monopolistic competitive firm is in the equilibrium, right? So this is the graph that you can see. Okay, so on the price and output are framed on the graph. Now the firm maximizes profit and produces a quantity where the firm's marginal revenue is equal to its marginal cost. That's a condition. MC is equal to MR. So E is the point of the equilibrium. Can you see where MR curve cuts MC curve at the point E, and MC curve has the positive slope that it is moving upwards. The MC curve is going upwards. That is the meaning of positive curve. Whatever the conditions These were the conditions for short run equilibrium of monopolistic competition, right? Now, since per unit cost, can you see BQ? The per unit cost is BQS, the straight line. Per unit supernormal profit is AB. Can you see that there is a dark area? So the dark area, the total supernormal profit is the dark area. That is AB, PS, ACS. So this dark area is supernormal profit. So when you draw this graph, you'll have to draw the MR curve, the AR curve, and the MC curve and AC curve, right? So MR and AR curves are downward sloping, straight lines, and the MC and AC curves are upward sloping, right? So this you have to draw the graph as it is and explain what I have explained you right now, right? So the firm is able to collect a price based on the average revenue, that is AR, right? So the difference between the firm's average revenue and average cost gives it a profit. Agree with me? So a firm can make abnormal profit in the short run with the help of product differentiation and variation. Okay. So, but this profit is very difficult to retain in the long run because a lot of firms start coming in, the competition starts prevailing. So there is a great deal of competition and every firm is trying to attract the buyers. There's a cutthroat competition by impressing upon them the superiority of its product by advertising. You can see the advertisement of shampoos, the soaps, the beauty products. You can see how close they are. If somebody adds the coconut oil in the shampoo, the other one is adding something else in this shampoo. It's telling you we are superior to them. So it's a close competition. This is the realistic competition we exist. You can just imagine an advertisement going on in the television you watch and check out how close the competition is. So therefore, supernormal profits are impossible in the long run. As a lot of firms start coming in, a lot of competition start coming in. So in short run, it is possible. So in the short run, however, supernormal profits can be earned. As why? As rivals do not have enough time to produce a close substitute. You have introduced your product with some plus point, but the rivals don't have that much time. So in short run, because of that plus point in your product, you gain profits, supernormal profits. But slowly, the competitors also bring the same product in the long run. So in the long run, this profit goes away. So there is a chances for monopolistic firm to earn supernormal profit in short run. Similarly, entry of new firm is also not possible in short run. So there is some kind of a monopoly effect element here. You understand why this statement that monopolistic competition has elements of both monopoly and perfect competition? Because in the short run, somehow by introducing some plus point in its product, it can gain a monopoly for its product and earn supernormal profits like a monopoly. Now you can relate. So we cannot, however, conclude like that all firms earn supernormal profit in the short run because one firm is earning them. It is not a conclusion or fixed thing that everyone will earn it. It depends. It depends how the firm competes. So it is possible that old and established firms are in a position to charge a higher price because they already have a reputation in the market. They have the place in the heart of the customers, and internal economies are also available to them. And so they can make supernormal profits. But new firms can earn only normal profits because they have just entered and may run into losses also because it depends upon how they penetrate in the market, how they picturize themselves, how they advertise themselves, right? So a lot of things. So this is all about the short run equilibrium under monopolistic competition. Now let's understand how a monopolistic competitive firm earns have an equilibrium in the long run. So as you can see in the graph, the MR, AR curves are there and MCAC curves are there, but we have named it long run marginal cost curve, long run average cost curve. LRMC means long run marginal cost curve and LRAC means long run average cost curve, right? And AR is equal to demand. Average revenue curve is equal to demand in the long run, and MR curve is sloping downward. It is again cutting the long run marginal cost curve, right? So Q is quantity, P is price. Now the firm still produces where marginal cost and marginal revenue are equal, right? However, the demand curve, that is, we are telling demand curve and average revenue curve are the same, has shifted as other firms enter. Demand has reduced, right? As other firms are entering the market and increased competition. So the firm no longer sells its goods above average cost and can no longer claim an economic profit, right? Because there is a lot of competition. So in case of losses in the short run, loss-making firms will exit. And this will go until the remaining firms makes normal profits. So in the long run, all those firms who are making loss in the short run will exit the market, will move out. Okay, so if the firms in the monopolistic competitive market earn supernormal profits in the short run, there will be an incentive for new firms to enter the industry, because the other firms will watch, wow, this product has a market. So the other firms will have a motivation and incentive to enter. So they start entering in the long run, and slowly the supernormal profit will like reduce, and in the long run that was earned in the short run by the old firms, established firms. So as more firms enter, profit per firm will go on decreasing because it will be divided, as the total demand for the product will be shared among the larger number of firms, because now in the long run, more firms are entering into the market, seeing that there's a scope for this product, right? So this will increase till all the profits are wiped away and all the firms earn only normal profits. So few firms will exit because of losses, new firms will enter. So it will average, it will balance the profit, and all the firms will earn only normal profits. So thus, in the long run, all the firms will earn only normal profits, and long period prices will therefore be. Now monopoly is over. In the short run, there was monopolistic competitive firm had a monopoly, but now in the long run, doesn't have, because a lot of firms have entered. So the long run characteristic of a monopolistic competitive market are almost the same as in perfect competition, right? So with the exception of monopolistic competition having heterogeneous products. The products are heterogeneous, a little bit of difference. And that monopolistic competition involves a great deal of non-price competition, right? Based on the product differentiation, right? So they are competing on the basis of cutthroat, advertisement. They are giving having a very what is aggressive advertisements and all, and telling that products is differentiated and all that. So this is how about monopolistic competition has elements of both monopoly and perfect competition. In the short run, it has a characteristic of monopoly, and in the long run, it has a characteristics of perfect competition. So it's the realistic competition, the monopolistic competition that we all exist in. So this is all about long run and short run. To summarize, I have prepared a table for you all. So as you can see, 3 types of competition we have studied, and the price determination in 3 types of competition, that is perfect, monopolistic competition, and monopoly. So number of firms in perfect competition is infinite. In monopolistic competition, it's many. It can't be infinite because in the long run, a lot of firms will exit because of losses. And in monopoly, there is only one firm. The market power in perfect competition is none. In monopolistic, it is low. In monopoly, it is very high market power. The monopoly has all the power in their hands. And in the case of perfect competition, elasticity of demand, it is perfectly elastic. In case of monopolistic, it is highly elastic in long run. And in case of monopoly, it is relatively elastic, the demand. We have already studied elasticity of demand. Look, the basic concepts that we study in the last units are very important for future. You understand? So you should always go through last PPTs. Okay. Now, the product differentiation in perfect competition is none. In monopolistic competition is very high, and in monopoly it's absolute, right? Excess profits in perfect competition, no. In monopoly, strict competition, yes. In short run, no. In long run, because in short run they can earn abnormal profits, but in short run they earn only normal profits. In monopoly, yes, there is excess abnormal profit because it's a single firm and can charge any price and exploit the customers. The efficiency in profit competition is yes, and other two it's no. What about profit maximization condition? In profit competition, price is equal to MR is equal to MC. I hope now you know what is marginal revenue, marginal cost, the abbreviations. In monopolistic, MR is equal to MC, and same in case of monopoly. Pricing power, profit competition, they are the price taker. Monopolistic, they are the price setter, and of course, monopoly are also the price setter. Okay. Now, till now we have understood three types of market and price determination. The three types of market, that is profit competition, monopoly, and monopolistic competition. Now, the fourth one is oligopoly. Let's understand first what is oligopoly. What is the difference between oligopoly and other three that we have studied? Now, as you can see on the screen, a market dominated by a small number of participants who are able to collectively exert control over supply and market prices. So there are small number of sellers, a small number of sellers and producers, interdependence on each other, importance of advertising and selling cost, and there are barriers to entry in oligopoly because it is controlled by 3-4 sellers. So they control. Okay, so when a market makes changes in its price, the rival firms will also react for it because of interdependence, and this would affect the demand of the former firm. There is very close competition. There's a cutthroat competition. There is aggressive advertisement because there are only few buyers, 2 or 3 or 4. That's it. Therefore, an oligopolistic firm cannot have sure and definite demand curve since it keeps shifting as the rivals change their prices in relation to the price changes made by it. For example, if I change my price, my rival will change its price as well. It will reduce its price by some amount and take all the customers. So it's a very cutthroat competition, and therefore has interdependence. So economists have established a number of price output models for oligopoly market depending upon the behavior pattern of the members of the group. Why it is still group? Because there are few sellers. So how is price and output decision in an oligopolistic market? Right? Let's understand how it is done. So there's a kinked demand curve under oligopoly. It's called a kink demand curve. So why it is called a kink demand curve, we'll understand with the graph in the future slide. So I can see on the screen, I'm just reading out, an oligopolistic faces a downward sloping demand curve, but the elasticity may depend on the reaction of rivals to changes in price and output. Assuming that firms are attempting to maintain a high level of profits and their market share, it may be in the case that rivals will not follow a price increase by one firm. If I increase the price, rivals will not follow. Therefore, demand will be relatively elastic, and a rise in price would lead to a fall in the total revenue of the firm. You know, because if I increase the price, my competitor is not increasing the price, so my customer flow will go to that particular seller because my price is now higher than him. Okay, and rivals are more likely to match the price fall. They may not match for rise in price, but they may match fall in price because their customer base they may lose them. So rivals may more likely to match a price fall by one firm to avoid loss of market share. If this happens, demand will be more inelastic, and a fall in price will also lead to fall in total revenue. Understood the two conditions? Can you make a differentiation? So it has been observed that in many oligopolistic industries, prices remain sticky and inflammable for a long time. So they tend to change infrequently, even in the face of declining cost. So many explanations have been given for this price rigidity under oligopoly, and most popular explanation is kinked demand curve hypothesis given by the economist Sweezy. So the demand curve facing the oligopolistic as a kink at the prevailing price on the assumption that competitors match price cuts but not price increase. The two conditions A, B. So the competitors match the fall in price but will not match if you raise the price. You understand? So that is why it is very competitive. Now, as you can see the graph, there's a kink, the blue line. What is that kink? Now the oligopolist maximizes profits by selling quantity 4. Can you see the 4 Q1 Q, and at price 8. He sells 4 quantity at price 8. So any shift from SMC1 and SMC2, that is short run marginal cost curve 1 to short run marginal cost curve 2, will leave price and output unchanged. As quantity demanded, that is 4, though price rise or fall, because it will be 4 only, though price rise or fall. Therefore, oligopolistic products best output level will continue to be 4 at price 8 for any shift in short run marginal cost curve. So this is why it is very rigid. The prices are very rigid because the quantity demand will not change. So as you can see, the written in blue, the green and red. Okay, I'll start reading from the blue. So raising price from P1, demand is relatively elastic. Firm loses market share and some total revenue. Assume we start out at P1 and Q1. Will a firm benefit from raising a price above P1? Will it benefit from cutting price below P1? So reducing price below P1, demand is relatively inelastic. Little gain in market share. Other firms have followed suit and total revenue may still fall. Okay. Okay. So in the diagram, we see that a rise in marginal cost will not necessarily lead to higher prices, providing that the new marginal cost curve, that is MC2, cuts the MR curve at the same output. That is 4. So the King demand curve theory suggests that there will be price stickiness in these markets, understand? And that firm will rely more on non-price competition to boost sales, revenue, and profits. They will not go into price competition. They will go into non-price competition, like having aggressive advertisements, having hoardings, right, and attract customers. So yeah, or hiring some celebrity for their products. So these non-price competition will start coming in. Okay, so one of the very important thing, cartels related to oligopoly. What are cartels? A cartel is a formal organization of producers of a commodity. Its purpose is to coordinate the policies of the member firms so as to increase profits. Cartels are illegal in the United States, but not in some other nations. So cartels are formed by all oligopoly firms. The 3-4 firms, they come together and form a cartel, right? So of the many types of cartels, the centralized cartel is at one extreme. The centralized cartel sets a monopoly price for the commodity, allocates the monopoly output among the members, 3-4 member firms, and determines how the monopoly profits are to be shared. So they come together, they form a group, and they decide a price, and everybody charges the same price, so everybody earns the same level of profit, and there is no cutthroat competition, and everybody is that prevailing that happy, right? So this is how the cartel graph looks like. So in figure, D is the total demand curve and MR is the correspondence marginal revenue curve for homogeneous commodity produced by 4 firms. I'm assuming that there are 4 firms in the oligopoly in the cartel that have formed the cartel. So the summation of short-run marginal cost curve for the cartel is obtained by summing horizontally the short-run marginal cost curves of the 4 firms on assumption that on that input prices remain constant. The centralized authority will set price as 8 and sell quantity 4 given by point E, where the summation of short-run marginal cost curve intersects the marginal revenue curve from below. As I am reading, as I am telling you, are you observing the graph? Okay, I wanted to observe the graph and I am telling you, I am interpreting the graph for you over, right? So this is the monopoly situation. To minimize production cost, the centralized, can you see, I'll open the graph. The centralized authority will have to allocate output among the 4 firms in such a way that short-term marginal cost of the last unit produced by each firm is equal. So if all firms are on the same size and had identical cost curves, then it will be it is very likely like that each firm will be allocated the same output and will share equally in the profit generated by the cartel. That's why the cartel is formed. But if the firms in the cartel are different sizes and have different costs, it will be more difficult to agree on the share of input and profits. Then the allocation of output likely to be based on based on past output present capacity and bargaining ability of each firm, rather than on the equalization of the SMC of the last unit of output produced by all member firms, because the firms are not same. Their output is not the same, their capacity is not the same. So this all depends. So the cartels are formed to coordinate among all the firms in the oligopoly. So now in this particular video, we have understood about the price determination under monopolistic competition and under oligopoly. Go through it. Okay, I will see you in the next video soon. Thank you so much.